The following message comes from this Teacher Life sponsor, Grubhub. Staying up to finish grades before the quarter deadline can work up an appetite. Grubhub's got you covered. Grubhub partners with over 265,000 restaurants across 4,000 U.S. cities. Today, get our Teachers Are Awesome perk on your first in-school delivery from Panera. Order through the Grubhub app or online.
From WGMU Fairfax, this Teacher Life, I'm Kenny. This week we're at a Starbucks shop talking with those pre-service teachers we talked with a few weeks ago. They're nearing the end of the semester of classes in George Mason University's College of Education and Human Development. Let's check in with them to see what has changed through their in-the-field observations and what they're looking forward to in teaching science in the classroom. We're here again with Doris. Recall, she's a BAM student at GMU and wants to be a kindergarten teacher. Doris was new to observing science in a second grade classroom. Hey Doris, how's your work in observing second grade science going?
Hi Kenny, this time around I am pleased to say I have gotten more science exposure in the classroom, but not too much.
Last we talked, you were committed to teaching kindergarten. Do you still feel the same way after experiencing a second grade classroom?
Kindergarten and second grade feel like two different worlds. Students are more independent, and I enjoy listening to their conversations in the morning before we start off our morning meetings. I definitely am open to teaching second grade, but that is as high as I'll go. Kindergartners still have my heart.
Have you learned anything from your clinical mentor that you plan on incorporating into your own classroom when you start to teach science?
I have learned, as she likes to call it, to control the chaos. She definitely likes her students to stay in a routine and to not get too loud during activities. She has a really good class of listeners, but during experiments, they can get a little out of control. And that is part of the reason experiments are not done too often in her classroom. Controlling the chaos does take some experience and will not be something I may be the best at handling the first weeks in my own classroom, but it is all about learning what type of behavior is adequate during experiments and to let students experiment because it is what it's all about. If it is too quiet, there are no thoughts about the experiment going on.
What other takeaways for teaching science do you have based on your experience in the classroom?
I would really like to incorporate science into other lessons, considering there is not a lot of time allotted for science itself.
Let's chat again with Tennille Golf. Recall, she's an MED student at George Mason University who's looking forward to becoming a kindergarten teacher also. Hey Tennille, how's your work in observing first grade science going?
Hey Kenny, it's good. I haven't been able to observe a lot of science because of the county's pacing for science instruction, but I have been able to observe a good deal of writing and math so far.
Last we talked, you were headed in teaching a 3-part science lesson to first graders. How did that go?
It went really good. The lessons I taught were on scientific modeling and parts of a plant. I had the kids model the parts of the plant with construction paper, yarn, and sunflower seeds over the 3-day lesson, each day adding more to their plant model as we discussed the different parts. They loved it.
Have you learned anything from your clinical mentor that you plan on incorporating into your own classroom when you start to teach science?
I love how calmly she instructs and directs her students.
What other takeaways for teaching science do you have based on your experience in the classroom?
I definitely feel that science needs to be brought into other disciplines in order to get more in. Interdisciplinary lessons would definitely be the ticket.
And on to our third teacher candidate. This is Kenny. He's an MED student at GMU. Kenny wants to be a 4th grade teacher. Have you learned anything from your clinical mentor that you plan on incorporating into your own classroom when you start to teach science? I plan to try and incorporate engaging and interactive lesson plans, exploit the kids' natural wonder, and that will allow them to get hooked in whatever lesson that I'm teaching. I also try to incorporate some science into other lessons if possible, since they don't always give us a lot of time to teach science. What have you had the opportunity to teach or assist with in the classroom? I've been able to assist in small tasks such as helping when students need assistance with computer issues or have questions with a task they are working on. What other takeaways for teaching science do you have based on your experience in the classroom? Unfortunately, I haven't been able to experience science in my observation class yet. And lastly is our last teacher candidate. This is Norah McGregor. She's a BAM student at George Mason University. Norah wants to be a 4th through 6th grade teacher. Norah, how's your work in observing 5th grade science going?
It's going really well. I've observed more since the last time we chatted. I'm seeing a lot more science integrated into other subjects opposed to actually seeing a science block. But it is going really well, and I'm getting to see a lot of work being done. So, yeah.
Have you learned anything from your clinical mentor that you plan on incorporating into your own classroom when you start to teach science?
I've definitely learned more about how to integrate science into the other subjects, such as language arts or math. A good example is my mentor teacher will pull science nonfiction texts for me to do in guided reading groups. And that has been awesome to do with the kids and really see them explore all the different science concepts.
What other takeaways for teaching science do you have based on your experience in the classroom?
I've definitely seen how much fun students have with science, and that has been awesome. They're so interested, so engaged. They want to be learning and wondering and investigating. So for me, my biggest takeaway would be science is critical to, if I don't have a learning block, for it to integrate it into other subjects, because it's like one of the students' like favorite things.
All right, thank you, Norah.
Yep. Have a good day.
Well, our program was put together today by Tennille, Doris, Norah, and Kenny. Special thanks to our teacher candidates for sharing their experiences in the field. This Teacher Life is delivered to public radio stations by WGMU Fairfax. I'm Kenny. Back next week with more stories from This Teacher Life.